Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. So in this video, I want to go over Dallin H because there's the possibility that he may become the next president of the church. Um, if President Nelson makes it to his next birthday, he will become the oldest prophet or apostle of this entire dispensation. Um, of course, we don't know how long he's going to live, but like I said, there's potential that President Oaks may become the prophet. So I wanted to go over just some interesting things about him. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you end up liking it, hit the notification bell. Make sure to share this on your social media with anyone that you think would find this interesting, and then leave your comments. So I started thinking about him because um, he was in Arizona, in Mesa, to rededicate the Mesa Arizona Temple. Now, as a side note, I lived in Goodyear, which is a suburb of Phoenix. And while we were living there, we were there for several years, and we would always like to go to the lights at Temple Square around the Mesa Temple. But the last year that we were there, they started this renovation, and they didn't do the lights that last year. So it's like we were so upset because we wanted to see the lights. And now after all this time, now I assume that they're going to be I guess they're probably doing it this year. But me and my wife, we've been through the Mesa Arizona Temple. Just to do work for the dead. It's a nice temple. We love that area, and it holds a special place in my heart. Now, let's take a look at President Oaks and see what we can learn here. So, we know that President Nelson was a heart surgeon, right? We've all made that connection, and we've all thought about how, right now we're really trying to build a Zion people, and Zion is the pure in heart and the one in heart. So it's perfect that we have a heart surgeon, right? Well, if we're getting really close to the second coming, and I believe that we are, if he passes away, what we have next is a judge, which is perfect for the great and dreadful day of the Lord, because it's a judgment on the wicked, right? So we have President Oaks. He was a justice of the Utah Supreme Court from 1980 until his resignation in 1984 to accept his calling to the apostleship. Okay, so he was a literal judge, and he was on the Utah Supreme Court, no less. I'm going to hop over here to his Wikipedia page. There's some interesting things here. After law school, Oaks clerked for Chief Justice Earl Warren at the U.S. Supreme Court. So right out of school, he was, you know, rubbing shoulders with really important people. Justice Earl Warren of the U.S. Supreme Court. That's pretty high up there. Okay, so Oaks was BYU's president from 1971 until 1980, and was then appointed to the Utah Supreme Court, on which he served until his selection to the LDS Church's Quorum of the 12 Apostles in 1984. Now check this out. Check this out. During his professional career, Oaks was twice considered by the U.S. president for nomination to the U.S. Supreme Court himself. After having been a clerk, now he was himself being considered for the U.S. Supreme Court. So that gives you an idea of the caliber of his legal, mind. Like he's a high caliber legal person. Okay, that was so eloquently said, huh? So he was first, but in 1975 by Gerald Ford, who ultimately nominated John Paul Stevens, and again in 1981 by Ronald Reagan, who ultimately nominated Sandra Day O'Connor. Now, I'm sure that he probably would have made it if the Lord didn't have other plans for him to become an apostle. But that is pretty remarkable to be considered two times by two different presidents, to become a Supreme Court justice. Wow. Okay, so Dallin Oaks was born on August 12th, 1932 in Provo, Utah, to Stella Nay Harris and Lloyd E. Oakes. Through his mother, he is second great grandnephew of one of the three witnesses to the Book of Mormon, Martin Harris. Okay, so he comes from uh, roughly from Martin Harris's line, one of the three original witnesses to the Book of Mormon, and he also financed the printing of the Book of Mormon. Okay, so this is where he's coming from. Let's go on down. In 1956, this is talking about his mother. In 1956, she became the first woman to sit on the Provo City Council, where she served for 2 terms. In 1958, she also briefly served as Provo's assistant mayor. So, politics seems to run in his family, or at least he was raised that way. Um, so that's pretty incredible. Education. Due to his membership in the Utah National Guard, so he had a little bit of military service, um, as did President Nelson, who was in the Army. Although I think he was active duty, but anyway, it doesn't matter. He had military service. Um, and the threat of being called up to serve in the Korean War, Oakes was unable to serve as an LDS church missionary. So he didn't serve a mission, which is fine because now he's serving as an apostle. So I guess that makes up for that. For that. Utah Supreme Court in 1975, Oakes was listed by U.S. Attorney Edward H. Levi among potential Jared Ford Supreme Court candidates. In 1981, he was closely considered by the Ronald Reagan administration, as a Supreme Court nominee. Now, what stood out to me here was this guy, Edward H. Levi. Levi, if you have that in your name and you're Jewish, that typically means that you descend through Levi, right? So you have you have the Kohanim, which are the priests, and so usually they'll have last names like Cowan or Cohen or something like that, something that sounds like Kohanim or Cohen. Now the Levites are different from the priests, so I decided to look this guy up just to see, and sure enough, Levi was the first Jewish Attorney General of the United States. Okay, now just to kind of explain what's going on here. So, a Levi is a Levite, that is, a descendant of Jacob's third son. Levites often have surnames attesting to their lineage, such as Levi, Levin, Leventhal, etc. Levites today have two main privileges. One is being called up second to the Torah after the Kohen, or the priests. The second is to wash the hands of the Kohanim before the latter goes up to bless the people. Okay, and then when the third temple is rebuilt, I'm sure they're going to have a lot more things that they do. So that's how they kind of keep track of the lineage, is with the last name. Now, I haven't done like a thorough study of this guy, but I'm assuming that because he's Jewish and his last name is Levi, this is probably a Levite. Okay, so in other words, in 1975's, my gosh, in 1975, Oakes, who was going to become an apostle of the Lord Jesus Christ, was listed by a Levite to be a Supreme Court candidate. Now, of course, he didn't get onto the Supreme Court, but isn't that kind of interesting to you? I find that interesting. I find that pretty interesting. Okay, was there anything else here on this time? Okay, no. Martin Harris. Okay, Edward H. Levi. Okay, now this is President Dallin H. Oakes following the Lord's ways. This is actually written by Elder David A. Bednar. I guess for the September 2018. I guess back then I think back then it was the ensign. In 2018, I can't remember. I don't remember when the change happened, but anyway. Elder Oakes faced a similar situation in 1984 following his call to the 12, as he again left a position and work that he loved as a Supreme Court justice in the state of Utah. However, this change was different because last time, what he's talking about is last time he was called to be president of BYU, he was like called by the brethren to do that, but he could like reasonably expect to go back to his former career. But this time it was different. In 1970, Elder Oaks reasonably, well, it says right here, in 1970, Elder Oaks reasonably might have thought he would return to his legal career following his service at BYU, which in fact he eventually did. But the call in 1984 was distinctive, a consecrated commitment of his whole soul and entire life to the Lord. The eternal importance and worldwide scope of his new responsibilities truly were overwhelming. And if he only knew back then that now he would be so close to becoming prophet and probably will become prophet, I mean, who knows? you know, um, what a journey and what an adventure it's been for him, and what a responsibility. And he's done so much. He's amazing. So I remember he himself like saying this in a talk. I tried to find that talk, but I remember him saying that um, like what a big decision this was and how much he loved law and how much he loved his career. So it was like it was a challenge for him, and it was a sacrifice. He consecrated himself to the Lord. And now I think that he already has been used in a big way, but now he's probably going to be used in an even bigger way, especially if he's the prophet of the second coming. Okay, so again, that's why we're kind of taking a close look at him. Now I'm just going to get into some of the funner stuff. Um, this may not mean anything, but I do think that names are significant. We know that the name Joseph was significant for Joseph Smith, and David is a significant name, and so why not with President Oaks? So this is what I decided to do. I wanted to look into oak, like the wood and the tree, just to see what I could learn. So this is from Cameroon Timber Export, SARL. Um, okay, where was it? Grain texture. Okay, strength and resistance. Based on hardness, it is considered one of the strongest woods. White oak has a Janker rating of 1,360, while red oak has 1,290, which is just a little bit less. The higher the Janker rating, the harder the wood is. In terms of hardness, oak is superior to even walnut and cherry. More hardness means the furniture and items last longer and are sturdier. Okay, so do you think that it's any accident that his last name is Oaks? I think the Lord has a hand in the names that we have. Um, maybe not everybody's name means something specifically, but when you're someone that becomes an apostle, you become a general authority, and especially if you're about to become prophet, um, there's probably a pretty good likelihood that your name actually does mean something. That's just how I look at it. Now, water resistance is another one of the major properties of oak wood, especially white oak, which has decent resistance to water and damage because of its closed pores and higher Janker rating. The wood is quite durable and highly resistant to wear and tear insects and fungal infestations. This is probably really important if you're a prophet, to be highly resistant to attacks from the world and just all these different all the wickedness that you could characterize as fungal and infestations and insects. Oak wood furniture and construction have a fairly long life. It will not go to landfill anytime soon, which also makes it eco-friendly. Oh, good. It can also be used as outdoor furniture because of its decent resistance to water and sunlight. Okay, so it sounds like a really good wood to use. And there's more. Um, okay, so this is a Wikipedia article about oak, like oak trees and all that. The acorns and leaves contain tannic acid, which helps guard from fungi and insects. Okay, so again, it's not easily infested by these things. Uses. Oak wood has a density of about 0.75 grams per centimeter squared, um, creating great strength and hardness. The wood is very resistant to insect and fungal attack because of its high tannin or tannin content. Um, okay, cultural significance. Check this out. In 2004, the Arbor Day Foundation held a vote for the official national tree of the United States of America. In November 2004, the United States Congress passed legislation designating the oak as America's national tree. So we're about to have a prophet, and we currently have a member of the first presidency whose last name is the national tree of America. And you could probably get into some of that symbolism because we know trees are important and symbolic in the church when we think about the tree of life and so on and so forth. Okay, now look at this military use. Now, this is something that I've known for a while, and I've always wondered about this. And today I got the answers as to why this shows up in the military. Um, so, this is talking about oak leaves. They also symbolize rank in the United States Armed Forces. A gold oak leaf indicates an O4, which is a major, or a lieutenant commander. If so, major for all the services other than the Navy. In the Navy, it's a lieutenant commander. Whereas a silver oak leaf indicates an O5, which is a lieutenant colonel, or if you're in the Navy, a commander. Arrangements of oak leaves, acorns, and sprigs indicate different branches of the United States Navy Staff Corps um, officers. Oak leaves are embroidered into the covers, hats, worn by field grade officers and flag officers in the United States Armed Services. So, field grade officers are um, majors. Well, what is it again? It's majors, lieutenant colonels, and colonels, and then generals are flag officers. Okay, so basically from major on up. So, okay, whatever. That's not what this video is about. Okay, if a member of the United States Army or Air Force earns multiple awards on the same medal, then instead of wearing a ribbon or medal for each award, he or she wears one medal representation of an oak leaf cluster attached to the appropriate ribbon for each subsequent award. And I'll show you what that means in just a minute here. Political use. The oak tree is used as a symbol by a number of political parties. So, again, here we have oak being associated with political parties, military, um, strength. Like I think it's very, very appropriate for President Dallin H. Oaks. Um, okay, was there anything else here? No. Okay, so in the military, this is what it's talking about. This is what the rank looks like. It's an oak leaf, right? So if it's gold, it's a major. If it's like a darker color, like if it's silver or like a dark silver, then it's a lieutenant colonel, which is one rank up. So yeah, majors, which are O4s, lieutenant colonels, which are O5s. Over here, these are the oak leaf clusters. These are not ranks. These are basically like tally marks. So I actually have this right here that shows. So if you get this award right here, the Army Commendation Medal, okay, this is the ribbon that goes with the medal. If you earn another one, another Army Commendation Medal, or an ARCOM for short, then instead of having two of these ribbons, you put this like metal pin. It's a pin that goes into the ribbon to indicate that you have two, right? And then if you have three, then you have two. If you have four, then you have three. And then once you get to your sixth one, since you can't fit five on this ribbon, then it just changes color to from like this bronze to silver, and then you see it just goes all the way up. Um, so that's how that works. So for these two ranks, major and lieutenant colonel, you have these oak leaves, and this is what it looks like on the patch. And then to count the number of awards or medals that you've earned, they use an oak leaf cluster. Okay. Now, why? Why? How did that become associated with the U.S. military? This was a mystery to me all the way up until today. From 2013, when I entered the Army, all the way till now, I have not known why they have oak leaves and oak leaf clusters as part of our military. Well, here's the answer, okay? The oak tree is a symbol of great and enduring strength. Ships used to be built from oak, de Blas explains. Cindy Herrick of the Coast Guard Museum explains that oak leaves are a symbol of authority dating back to Roman times and earlier. Roman emperors and senators were crowned with wreaths of oak leaves. The oak, the oak is an ancient fertility symbol of the male principle. For the Romans, it was a symbol of service to the state. Look at that. For the Romans, so that's basically America is the modern day Rome, right? Um, but before us and before the British Empire and before all that, um, the Romans, for them, it was a symbol of service to the state. And we know that President Oaks has rendered a lot of service to the state, right? In some cultures, the oak tree is holy. It has taken on civic authority in some cultures where marriages and trials were performed under an oak tree. All services except for the Air Force use oak leaves and acorns on the visors of the combination hat. The Air Force has a motif of clouds and lightning bolts in silver on their service cap visor, right? Because they're airplanes and they fly. Okay, so this is what that's talking about. So when you see these hats right here, you see how there's like these oak leaves right here. I always wondered about that, but now I know they're oak leaves. I didn't know what it was before. I thought it was just like random leaves, but no, they're oak leaves. And this because of this right here. This because of this. And see, you have the acorns right here and all that. So that is all I have for you. Hopefully it's interesting to you. It is to me. Um, the Lord prepares all of us. We're foreordained to do things in this world, and Dallin H is no exception. Um, I don't think his name is an accident. I don't think that his upbringing and his career and his military service and who he's married and his parents and his lineage, it's all been planned. I don't think there's a whole lot of it that's accidental, and I don't think that way with anybody really. Not any general authority, not any individual person in this life. Um, well, and especially those that are of the covenant, right? Because if you're not of the covenant, if you're like a Gentile, if you're living a telestial law, you're more prone to just chaos, right? But um, if you descend through Israel, I think that your life is probably going to be more orderly and foreordained, most likely. But anyway, that's not really doctrine. That's just my thoughts on that. So that's it. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it. Make sure to share it on your social media. There's probably a lot of people that would like to know this. And then make sure to leave your comments so I can know what you think. Or if you have any additional information about President Oaks, I would love to hear it. And I'll talk to you guys later.